What is up, YouTube? How's everybody out there doing today? I hope you guys are having a fabulous freaking day. The guys are over in the shop making noise and yelling. This is going to be a pretty cool video, so pay the freak attention to it. We are going to be putting a cam in an LS2 engine, and the cam we are putting in is a Lunati Black Magic cam right there. I think the part number is... Let's show you the part number here, guys. That way, in case you're interested in this cam, you can look it up. But there's the part number right there. And the specs on this cam from Lunati is 617 lift, 593 lift on the exhaust, with a 231 duration on the intake and a 242 duration on the exhaust, with a 110 plus 2 center line, and I think it's on a 112 lobe separation. So the beginning of the video here, we're going to install the cam, clean everything up, lube it all up, get the timing chain set. We got a timing chain set up there. But the meat and potatoes of this video is we're going to be actually using this paper right here. We're going to be using this paper right here to determine, also with this wheel, and there's just a lot of parts involved, and this guy right here, we're going to be determining if all the information on this sheet is correct per measurements that we're going to be doing on the cam once it's installed. So let's go ahead, set the camera up, probably do a time lapse, maybe we will, maybe we won't, I don't know, of getting the cam in, getting the timing chain on, getting it all set up. Yo! Torque it! All right, guys, there you have it. The cam is positioned in the engine. We got the timing chain on. We got our timing gear on. We have our aftermarket lower crank sprocket on and everything. And we're set up and ready to dial this thing in and make sure that everything is correct per this sheet right here. So if everything's correct, this should be correct with the dial indicator and the freaking wheel here, the degree wheel, will show that this is all correct. If not, the beautiful thing about it is if it is off by 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree, 4 degrees, whatever the case may be, as you can see in here, we can take this sprocket back off of here, we can reposition it to where it needs to be to become 0, and then put it back on and obviously re-degree everything to make sure it is accurate. All right, so there's a few things we're gonna need in order to set this thing up to dial it in. One of the most important things you're gonna need is obviously a degree wheel and a pointer, which you can pretty much attach anywhere on the engine. And as you can see, it's pointing straight to top dead center there. The other thing you're going to need is a piston stop, which is being made. Greg over in the other room there, he's making a piston stop right now, guys, to put into here to have our stops so we can get our degrees and all that fun stuff. Just a little reminder, guys, to make sure if you're assembling an engine like this, an LS engine in particularly, and the heads are off, please make sure you clean out these thread holes. They got a lot of debris, metal, the sealant from the OEM stock head bolts will get down in here and clog them up. And if you don't clean out these holes and you put a new set of heads on or another set of heads on, and you put your ARP or stock OEM bolts back in, especially in these locations here, you actually have a chance of cracking the block down here in these grooves, especially like in this thin area here, this thin area there, so on and so forth. So make sure you clean those out before you put a set of heads on an LS engine. All right, guys, so we have our degree wheel on. We have our piston stop in. And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna find top dead center here on this setup. And that's interesting to do. I'm gonna show you. So let's set the camera up. Hold on a minute. All right. So the easiest way to do this, and it's on stop right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the number on the degree wheel, and the number on the degree wheel is 78.5, so 70.5 on the degree wheel, and we're going to put that in our calculation. So remember, 78.5 degrees. We're going to go backwards until the engine rotates and the piston stop hits again on the number 1 piston, and we're going to see what number we have. And the piston's coming back up, and we hit. And we're at 78.5. So, the nice thing is this is already zeroed out. So I just got lucky here, which is kind of cool. So it's already zeroed out. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to leave it the way it is, because we know there's no, it's not off a degree, not off 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. We don't have to center up the pin or anything of that nature. So we're at 0, technically 0 right now. We're going to take off our piston stop here, and we should be able to rotate this to top dead center, and we should be at true top dead center there. We're going to rotate the engine clockwise, and the piston's going down. So number 1 on this side is going down, guys, and it's all the way down. Actually, here, hold on a minute. I'll bring you over here so you guys can actually see the piston going up. So we're going to rotate like this, and the piston's coming up, and we are, hold on a minute. Oh, a little bit too far. A little bit too far. Yeah, a little bit too far that way. There we go. So, as you guys can see, we're at top dead center. Don't pay no mind. We're not on a compression stroke or anything, but we're at top dead center. Never moved any of the pin or anything because we're already at 0. And another cool way to figure out if you're actually at true top dead center is see if you can move the piston around like this. If you can move the piston around, there's no pull or no push on the piston. So that's how you know you are at 100% top dead center. So now say for example, you come to 2 different numbers. Say for example, you put this all together, you got your piston stop in, you put your degree wheel on, and say you come to you rotate it rotate it clockwise, and you come up with a 80. And then you rotate it counterclockwise and you come with an 82. That means you have a 2 degree difference between one rotation to the other. So at that point, you're going to divide, well, you're going to subtract it. So that's how you get the 2 degrees. So 80 minus 82 is 2 degrees. And then what you're going to do is you're going to divide that by 2. And that's going to come to 1. And it's pretty easy. All you'd have to do, we'll use the wheel as an example, is say this is where you're at on your stop. You move it over 1 degree, which is half of your 2. And then when you rotate the motor over again and backwards again, it should come to the same number, which would be 81 and 81. And that's basically how you know you're finding your top dead center at that point. So I figured I'd explain that to you guys on how you come to that final 0 number, that 0 number, not have a 2 or a 1 or a 3 or anything. It's pretty simple when you think about it, but that's how you come to that, and that's how you figure out what your top dead center is. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to find out what we're actually going to degree the cam. We're going to make sure, they say it's supposed to have 110 center line. So we're gonna use what we have here, and we're gonna make sure this thing has 110 center line, which I'm pretty sure it does. These Lunati cams are pretty good. Very, very good cams. So we actually took our stop out. We're gonna take some washers here. We're gonna put them underneath this plate so this has some clearance, but I wanna show you something first before we do this, which is actually pretty cool too. We're actually gonna see how far up this piston is out of the block. That helps with quench, and it helps with head gasket choices and stuff of that nature. So we're gonna do that first. So we're at 0 right now on the gauge. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna move it from the piston over to the deck. And we're gonna see what it shows. So right now it's on 0. I'm gonna go ahead and just slowly move it over. And it went 7.5 degrees, or 7.5 thousandths, I guess you would say, 7.5 thousandths. This is kind of a difficult thing to do. I wish I had one that actually like turned on its own without having to turn the magnet. You can apply that number, because that'll give you how much further up the piston's coming from the deck. That'll give you that number for any heads that you're putting on. It'll give you an idea of what head gaskets you can go with. If you are able to go with a thinner head gasket to make more compression, or a thicker head gasket, whatever the case may be. But that's also a very important number to know, like I said, you know, how far up this piston's coming out of the actual deck itself. So now we're gonna move on to degreeing the cam. That's not that hard either. So we're gonna do this a little bit of a different way on finding the cam degreeing, or degreeing the cam in, or at least verifying that our center line here is 110. So Lunati is telling me that this center line should be 110 degrees. That's what they say. And you know what? I believe them, guys. I believe them. So here's how you're gonna do this. There's a couple ways on YouTube that you can do this. You know, you can go look up on YouTube on your own. I'm not going to go through the spiel because it's kind of a little bit of a process, kind of the same as before with finding top dead center. But luckily, I have a degree wheel here that's so much easier to use, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute. But there is a way of finding or degreeing your cam and finding your center line and making sure the paperwork matches the actual cam specs by adding, and so we're adding two numbers together, finding your two numbers, adding them together, and then dividing them by 2. That dividing by 2 should then give you your center line, whether it be a 109, 110, 111, or if it's off and you need to adjust, so on and so forth. But in our case, we have a nice JEGS degree wheel. And as you guys can see over here, we have something called an intake centerline area. What do you think that's for? This basically takes the guesswork out of the calculations and basically tells you everything you need to know. It also has exhaust centerline, so you can actually check exhaust centerline as well, which is cool. So the way you set this up is, obviously, since we've already know where our top dead center is, we have it set at top dead center on the compression stroke, so we're good to go there. You have to have it exactly on the compression stroke, top dead center, both valves closed. You're going to put your dial indicator on 0. Now you're not going to pay attention to these numbers. You're going to pay attention to what the dial indicator is doing. You want to rotate clockwise the engine, clockwise rotate the engine until this needle comes to a dead stop and it starts going backwards. So it's going to rotate, and then you're going to come to a point where it's going to want to go backwards. That's the cam, lobe going the other way, or the dial indicator making, going back down again, basically. So once you come to that point, basically, if this is all correct and this wheel is doing its job and that paper is correct and this cam is correct, being that said it's 110, we should have our meter pointing at literally 110 on our intake center line. So let's rotate the engine over. I'm going to put the camera down low here and maybe about right there or something, I don't know. That way you guys can see what's going on. So this is I would say, the easy way of doing it if you have the right tools. And like I said, there is other ways of doing it, but since we have the right tools, we're going to do it this way, because why not? All right, guys, nice close-up view. You can see the dial indicator. You can see my wheel. I'm going to be out of the camera for a little bit. But watch the dial indicator. You'll see what I'm talking about up here as we slowly turn the motor over. So we're going in clockwise direction. So we're gonna just keep turning this motor over. Here we go. And we should be getting close, because I've already done this multiple times, so I already know. I'm just showing you guys for the camera. So you see how it's slowly starting to come to a stop. You see how that needle is coming to a stop. It's almost dead stop. Now watch, that needle's gonna start going backwards, guys. Watch that needle go backwards. You see it? Now we're past that intake centerline area on this disc, which is very convenient, but we're gonna go back and we're gonna get it to where that needle is a dead stop. And I'm not even gonna look at the wheel. You don't look at the wheel either. We're gonna just keep going until we know we're dead stop on that. So it's probably, I think it was about 90, give or take. Yeah, 90. So you see the needle hasn't moved for a good bit. And just so happens, if you look down at the intake centerline area, where's our marker pointing? It's obviously pointing at 110. So that's telling us that the cam centerline and the paper centerline is exactly correct per everything going on, because we have a 110 here, we stop moving on there, we're good to go, guys. We're good to go. All right, guys, we're at the point of the video where obviously there's not much more we can do. Basically, one of the things I have to do still to this engine, and this engine is actually an LS2 engine going into a 67 GTO, so that's gonna be a pretty cool project. Maybe I'll make some videos of that happening. Once that happens, we got to get the frame done, the body's getting done. There's a whole bunch of stuff, gets pretty much a frame off setup that's getting done. It's going to be pretty badass. And now it's going to be a cammed LS2 engine out of a 05 GTO. It's going to be an automatic transmission as well. Sorry guys, sorry, I know. But the one thing I got to do still is I got to port and polish this oil pump and shim the relief valve. I'm not going to make a video about that, obviously, because I don't think anyone would be interested. But if you are, comment below, let me know, and maybe I'll do one later on. But I'm going to do this, and then basically it's just simple assembly of the short block at this time. The heads are out getting done. Once they get back, we'll put them on. So we'll be putting the oil pump on, the front cover, we'll be bolting down the top cover, and yes, as you can see, some of these parts are powder coated, beautiful red, because the car itself is red as well. So that's another nice thing that Gentek does here, is we actually powder coat. And you know, if you have things that need powder coating and you're local to Gentek in Reading, PA, bring them on by. We can powder coat. We have tons of different colors, and as you can see, we powder coat them. So we do a good job. We do a very good job powder coating, guys. Look at that, any color, any color. So if you're interested in that, give Gentek Performance a call. Other than that, we're gonna end this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, the bell, the everything, to keep watching videos on this channel. First link in the description below is all of Gentek Performance's information. If you need a car worked on, or if you need some dyno tuning, as you can see, we have an MG that actually has a V8 in it, and we have a Mazda that doesn't have anything in it. That's actually a Pagoda race car kind of deal right there. It's pretty cool. He has a few of those Miatas, and they're pretty neat. But if you need anything done from fabrication to dyno tuning to cam installs, give Gentek Performance a call, and they'll hook you up. Other than that, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get back to work so I don't get fired. Deuces, guys.